face might look familiar to you if you're watching my Let's Play of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. Back during the Inspector Hildebrand mysteries, it was this gentleman, Inspector Briarden, who helped us with the more serious aspects of the cases that which we solved. And now, he's come back here into Heavensward, where he's going to assist us with the new challenges that we're taking on. And we're going to do it to help out some people who are in some dire straits in their own right. So with that in mind, greetings people of the world, Matthew back with you here at Overall Autism for the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV: Heavensward. And last time, we started on the new content for patch 3.15. There's no main story involved, but there is a new series of quests taking place here in Ishgard, at St. Endalim's Scholasticate, located within St. Ramonod's Cathedral. And as we saw last episode, there is of course a struggle going on between the students who want to learn a more moderate method to teaching the ways of the deity of Ishgard Halone, and those who choose to stay more towards the hard line aspect. So obviously there is a serious division going on, and it'll be Inspector Briarden who's going to help us out as we continue to go along with the next two quests of this challenge. So, we have to speak with Father Bruvignon, who's running the show here, either on an interim basis. So let's speak with him to take on the next challenge, entitled Balancing the Spear. Bruvignon is ready to say what is really on his mind. I'd better start from the beginning. It would not do to involve Master Griffin with our affairs without first ensuring he possesses a proper understanding of how our seminary functions and how we have been forced to change. You see, most men and women of the cloth go on to live fulfilling lives as pastors, academics, and poets. However, those who graduate from the Scholasticate with the highest marks are given an opportunity to serve in the vault, and perhaps one day rise to prominence. But as we've seen, that does not necessarily bode all that well. The stakes are quite high for those who seek such prestige, for they know full well that their academic performance may determine their future. It is they who strive for the top 3 seats that are granted the Scholasticate's official endorsement. The Trinity. And so to those who wish to guide Ishgard's faithful spend their days accumulating marks through academic pursuits while at the same time honing their skills to persuade others to share their interpretations of scripture. Up until now, it resulted in no more than occasional lively debate, for the Holy See was ultimately responsible for dictating doctrine. Ranking was naturally determined by one's familiarity with said doctrine. However, in light of recent events, that is no longer an option. Simply put, we cannot currently assess their academic performances in the traditional manner, as a significant portion of the curriculum has been called into question. As a result, we've been forced to consider more subjective methods. And in this time of uncertainty, students are wont to lash out at their peers, whom they fear will exploit this internal system to their advantage. Distressing, I suppose, but what does that have to do with us? I require your unparalleled skills of observation and deduction. And then we're gonna cutscene again. We did a lot of it last episode. The only way to put an end to this bickering between students is to ensure beyond a shadow of a doubt that our interim evaluations are conducted in a fair and equitable manner. I ask you to stand as an observer. Until a new curriculum is decided, our evaluation system is vulnerable. In other words, you want us to catch the shit-owls. Precisely. Now then, I've received word that the headmistress has returned to her office in the cathedral. I would ask that you introduce yourselves. But there is something you should keep in mind when speaking with headmistress Sylvain. She was appointed to her position by the former archbishop, thus her views on the curriculum are quite traditional. I would advise you to discuss matters regarding the Holy See with the utmost care. I think we can do that. And failing that, she decides to go all crazy like the Archbishop did, we'll just put a spear down her throat. Hopefully it won't come to that. Alright. Let's go into where the deacon is going to speak with us. Over here in the corner. Hello there, sir. We have been expecting you. The headmistress awaits you within. Then lead the way. For this challenge, I probably should have come forward in my Grand Company uniform. I am showing respect after all. Headmistress Sylvain, may I have the pleasure to introduce the individuals who shall be in charge of keeping order at the Scholasticate. This is Consulting Inspector Briarden and his associate, Matthias Griffin. Matthias Griffin? I must say, Father Bourignon, your selections are rather appropriate. We thank you both for your service in our time of need. I trust that Father Bourignon has briefed you on our humble seminary. St. Endalim's Scholasticate has produced Ishgard's finest clergy for centuries, including countless men and women who have served in the highest echelons of the Holy See. All of whom were spared a brutal death on the battlefield in service to a misguided war they perpetrated, or so some might be given to say. Indeed, some might, and they would not be entirely mistaken, for while we were wholly unaware of the deception perpetrated by the archbishops, we did unwittingly sustain it to our sorrow. The idea that we willingly subjected them to false precepts is of course preposterous, a contrived fantasy. Nevertheless, some fervently believe it true, and these self-same individuals have come to view our instructors and students as targets for their misguided anger. It is of paramount importance that we restore faith in the teachings, yet how are we to regain trust of the common man when our own seminarians are embroiled in childish quarrels? You refer to this tension regarding the interim evaluation system. Quite frankly, it is but one facet. Classes have also been suspended until we complete our own painstaking review of the curriculum. Some students have taken leave while the more dedicated have taken upon themselves to conduct independent work to demonstrate their merits. We cannot allow this situation to continue indefinitely. Graduation is approaching and we must make our recommendations, but the senior class is divided. They know not how they will be evaluated. And you, sir? Rather, they understand how they will be evaluated, but have no faith that our methods will produce a fair result. A concern not without merit, I must confess. I too suspect that some may be driven to manipulate the interim system to their advantage. I expect some have already tried, but that is why we brought in outside observers. Inspector Bryden, Matthias Griffin, if anyone is engaging in unscrupulous behavior, I should have it brought to an end at once. May the Fury guard you in your task. We'll do what we can, Headmistress. And so, now that we have conducted our business here, as it turns out we're not the only ones doing this task. Okay, that guy's name is Saturnois. Fascinating name. Inspector. Now then, before we proceed, might you tell us a little bit about your students, Father... my apologies, I'm Father Saturnois. In addition to teaching the fundamentals of Hellenic polity, I also oversee fundraising for the stipends of underprivileged students. While I would like to help you, I think my opinion would not do them justice. I would suggest getting to know them yourselves. I feel the same way. The ways in which the people speak in front of their instructors is not the same as amongst themselves. In my 10 years of counseling, they have minded their etiquette and are not but cordial to me. However, I can recommend one of my students who is quite vocal. Mayhap you try speaking with the dormitory prefect, Archambaden. Given his closeness to the students' social affairs, he may also be able to give you insight into what they talk about. Archambadin. Ah yes, the silver-haired boy, a son of Hazamal as I recall. Oh yeah, we saw this guy last episode, if I remember. We shall heed your suggestions, Sister Gaetel, and give his duty and his status. Lead the way. All three of you. Alright, back to the Scholasticate. Yeah, I wonder who else will be introduced to along the way, and what happens when this challenge climaxes. Because yeah, there's gonna be one more after this. Okay, yeah, you and your friend Le Bassoir. Has no one ever told you that brandishing weapons is frowned upon in places of enlightenment? That is, unless Li has sent you to stir up more trouble. Hey, I'm just a warrior of light, sir. Rest assured that my associate Inspector uses armaments only to resolve troublesome situations, not create them. We merely came to ask of your well-being and your expectations for the future. Under the auspices of the headmistress, I'm sure. Very well. I, Laboissoir de Bonfort of House Bonfort, in service to House Samal, present to you Arcombadine des Amal. You don't have to go that far. As prefects for the Scholasticate dormitory, we are responsible for keeping the peace between our fellow seminarians. Correct me if I'm wrong, but are you not the foreigner who went to rather great lengths to expose the Archbishop's falsehoods? Responsible for the re-evaluation of the entire curriculum? Oh, great. Quite the resolution, that. And for what? Every great nation's history is marred by sins of the past. Alamigo, Uldar, Limsalminsa? Please. Each was built on a foundation of lies and blood. Which is not to say we elites should not learn from these mistakes. But we who have served as shepherds of the people for 1,000 years have a duty to maintain order through the preservation of tradition. Would a Wainwright cast aside his father's best cart when it has but a broken wheel? Indeed, Arcombadine and I have said much, and to those who support a more radical approach, the last thing we need is young seminarians running about crying for reformation. I see, so you've been quite active in convincing the other students to see things your way. How have you fared? 'Tis hardly a daunting task. Many seek comfort in consistency. Sister Gaetel has tasked us with bringing back the students who took leave. One and let our results determine how persuasive we are. I thank you, gentlemen, for your cooperation and wish you the best of luck with your efforts. Now then, Mathia, if these students are bringing back their truant peers, there must be others who are doing the same. Let us split up and seek out the participants. Very well. I'll be back to deal with you two later, I'm quite sure. Yeah, I imagine we'll have to dirty our hands with you pair again later. So, let's head back on outside and see where our two students of interest are. Oh, they're gonna be... Okay, one's gonna be in the Jewel Quasir, one's gonna be close to the last vigil. We might as well start going this direction. Since we are gonna have to cross paths with both, it'll be easier to find one and then the other. So we have Cramevois, who's first. I think, given by the title of Levacious Lass, he may be seeking temptations of the flesh. A new friend of faraway lands graces us with his presence today. Well met, my good sir. And what am I, chopped liver? He was looking at me until you showed up. I'm just here to ask for your assistance. Oh, I see. So you are helping Inspector Bryden. A pleasure to meet you. I am Cramevois de Martigny, but you may address me simply by my first name. That's how it usually goes. So, what brings you to the Pillars? Could it be you are to observe how we go about convincing truant seminarians to return? Then by all means, let me show you how it's done. I must admit I find many of the other students rather intimidating, but thanks to Cramevois, I am considering returning to the Scholasticate to resume my studies. We were just discussing the responsibility of the Highborn have to redress the imbalance. Of the Fury's love will all men receive, and by the balance of her spear will all be set free. So it is written in volume 11 of the 72 articles of Hellenic polity. Equal under her ever-watchful gaze. Ah, that you would grace our halls with your presence once more, that I may favour you with my own gaze. I fondly recall seeing your lovely face always buried in that tome.
Oh, Cromwell, you did notice. I thought to pen a lengthy treatise on it, but I could not make do once the volume vanished.
It vanished? Oh, so you were the one helping Mathieu to find that tome. With how relevant the content has become these days, I suppose it is not surprising it would go missing.
In any event, you've convinced me. I will gather my things and return to the dormitory straight away.
Yes, that is the way. One must seize the moment and act upon one's convictions. Life is but a fleeting, fragile thing. Wouldn't you agree, my dear? Well, I have done my part in guiding a little lamb back to the flock, and now to celebrate with a well-deserved nap. I bid you both farewell. I feel like there's more to it than that. Like, given the way that the storyline has gone so far, I feel like there may have been some mental manipulation in convincing her to return to the Scholasticate there. I don't necessarily think she's doing that of her own free will. At Theomasol? Alright, we're speaking with you again. We did so with your friend Lee in the last episode. Oh, hello Mathia. Lee and I were just about to visit our friends in Foundation and convince them to return to their studies. It's been difficult since we aren't exactly held in high regard right now. The dormitory prefects have made sure of that. We must do all in our power to motivate our friends to come back to the Scholasticate. Then we can strive for high marks together. Right, and then we can convince our peers that we are just as worthy as any highborn in the clergy. They will welcome us with open arms and all will be well in Ishgard. If Arkham and its cronies receive the Scholasticate's endorsement, no one will ever listen to us. We can't let them take the Trinity. I would rather not think of it that way, Lee. Let us just focus on bringing back as many people as we can. And so away they go. Well, that's how the Highborn are thinking about it. The more vocal we become, the more they will see us as a threat. That's why we have to stick together. Right, and we go back to the Scholasticate to complete this third challenge. Alright, and that'll leave us with one more climactic quest to take on, and this is not the right time. This is not the right time. Sorry, but I'm recording right now. Yeah, I mean no disrespect, but I must stay on task here until it's seen through to its conclusion. I can always contact later once I'm done this. Of course. And so now that we're all back together again. Inspector? Right then, let us see how competitive these students truly are. I've never had to draw my weapon at once, except at the end of the first quest. It brings me joy to see so many of our brothers and sisters return to the Scholasticate. Sister Gatel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Arkham. I will now announce how many of our stray sheep each student persuaded to come home. Both Firmenson and Lee were able to bring back one student each. Jean-Chet guided 2 back into our arms. Arkham and Labassois were each able to convince 3 students to return, the most of all. Excellent work to all of you.
Yeah. There was another one? What about the student Cromwell convinced to return? Yeah, it wasn't just those people you mentioned.
Oh, is this true? Are we missing someone from the Count?
The girl you speak of has formally withdrawn from the Scholasticate. Apparently she was not all that enthusiastic about returning as she led Cromwell to believe. Mayhap she chose to play along so that he would cease his harassment. Perhaps it was for the best. She rarely engaged her fellow students, instead choosing to sit alone and read the articles of Hellenic polity. Given the recent revelations, I suspect she became disillusioned with the faith.
Strange you would say that, L'Abbassoir. When I last spoke with her, Ula was quite interested in Volume 11's equal under her ever-watchful gaze passage, one that you and your master would sooner pretend did not exist. If she were the victim of harassment, I would rather expect it was at your hands. Are you implying that we had something to do with it because we did not share her views? What rot! You dishonor yourself and your house with such baseless accusations. Rather you would if you ought remained of your house to dishonor. I yield, good sir, I yield. I lack the quantities of the Honourable Lord Aucambadin possesses with which enable him to deliver such observations. Well, if Ula has withdrawn, then I must mourn her departure by walking through the dormitory halls, reciting her excerpts from Volume 11. And how do you intend to do that? Volume 11 of the Articles of Ironic Polity has been missing for some time now. The tomes themselves are inconsequential if one has taken the words to heart. How fortunate are we that the wisdom of our forebears is not so easily forgotten? Would you not agree? Are you the shadow figure we've been trying to pursue? Or who's been watching over us this time? Such impudence as befits a sixth son. For all his failings, his father was wise to send him away. At any rate, we are blessed that this handful of truants has returned to us. Truly it is the Fury's will that we have overcome these trials and tribulations and move forward with a singular vision for the future. Yeah, like, what are you talking about? And Bryden, how do you view it? A student with a keen interest in a controversial precept who withdraws without explanation? This seems rather odd to me as well. Mayhap it is worthy of our attention. I would agree with that. I would very much so agree with that statement. So yeah, let's see this to its conclusion. There were 4 quests in total, so let's take the final one. The last challenge is entitled More Than Meets Her Eye. Briarden glances at you, adjusting his spectacles. Mathia, were you present when Heavensward spoke with Ula? Yeah, because I was the one who mentioned it. So she was indeed enthusiastic about returning to the Scholasticate. Then why did she instead decide to withdraw? Perhaps she didn't. She got kidnapped or something. Heavensward all but accused Aucambadin of having a hand in it, as well as the disappearance of this Volume 11. Not more than slander spoken in anger perhaps, but the situation does merit further investigation. We look forward to your results, Inspector. Master Griffin, if I might have a word with you in private, pray meet with me near the plaza in front of St. Remilo's Cathedral. Alright. Yeah, all this time I never thought to dress in my Grand Company uniform, but... And yeah, we've never had to truly engage in combat at any time. Mayhap we will at the final challenge, but as it stands right now, that will not be necessary. And it's a bit of a run. It's actually closer to the last vigil than it is to where it was discussed. And he's here with Thema Masson and Lee. Alright. Thank you for coming, Master Griffin. You are already acquainted with my 2 best students, Thea Masson and Lee. That I am. They have sought my counsel in their quest to obtain the Trinity seats, and I have been more than willing to oblige them out of a desire to ensure all students are given equal opportunity. I am not blind to the machinations of our highborn students, after all. I know not what Aucambadin and L'Abbassoir have said to you, but I advise you to weigh it carefully. You witnessed the treatment of a fellow highborn student, did you not? Then it should come as no surprise that they regard their lowborn peers far more harshly, discriminating against them with whatever means at their disposal. Those who believe that less fortunate students lack the potential to become great clergymen, but if Thea Masson and Lee can obtain the highest marks and secure their places within the Trinity through their hard work and virtue, then these misguided beliefs would be proved wrong. Even if we were to succeed, what difference would it make? Those who disagree will not be so easily swayed, and those who sympathize will be reluctant to speak out for fear of reprisals. Then you must find these allies who are fearless, who do not flinch in the face of threats. Master Griffin, Have you come across any who fit that description? House Fortin, perhaps? What about Cramovois? Yeah, I'll go ahead and say his name. I thought so as well. He seems to treat everyone the same, and he defended Ola's honor at the assembly. The highborn lecher, who skips out on some sessions and can't stay awake for the ones he attends? Theo, are you daft? If he did decide to help us, I wouldn't even want it. No need to dismiss him out of Hanley. As Thiomason said, he spoke out openly against Arcambadine and L'Abbassois on behalf of Ola. He might be willing to do the same for you two. Absolutely not. I don't trust any of the highborn. Look, I'll find help with others, but you're on your own with Cramovois. Very well. Master Griffin, will you accompany Thiomason? One cannot be too careful, especially with the rise on assaults in the clergy. I can definitely do that for you. Thank you. I'm certain we can find him in the pillars, in his usual spot. Alright, then away we go! Will it indeed come down to the necessary action of engaging in combat? What's the best way to get down there? Well, might as well just hang a left and go. We will descend into the manor here. Okay, and Cramovois is once again with the last that he spoke to before. I thought he'd be more receptive to my appeal, but instead he seems rather annoyed. Can't you and Freckles see we're busy? Leave us be! Freckles, you certainly have a way with words, my dear. She is quite right, you know. We have more pressing matters to attend to. Cramovois, please, will you not help our cause? I believe us to be like-minded individuals, those who desire a new path for the Church, one based on the principles of... So earnest and forthright! How adorable! I can hardly resist pinching those soft, supple cheeks. Really? Oh, for the love of... Come, darling, let us go somewhere that will afford us privacy. An offer that I dare not refuse. Good luck with whatever it is you're about, Freckles. Wow. And I thought I actually liked this guy. He's gone. No, I cannot give up. The future of the Church depends on us. I was not given an opportunity to explain in full, so I will not leave his side until he hears me out. And we're gonna chase into Foundation here. I believe the chase is on, and that combat will soon follow. And if that's the case, get ready for anything and everything. Alright, so back into Foundation. And by the looks of it, this person's gonna be up there, actually? Yeah, okay, yeah, I see someone else's icon up there. So, how would we get over here? Alright, here's the stairs that we need to take. Oh, wait a minute, what happened to Cramovois? Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen, like... Yeah, Cramovoir's been beaten up. And is now his life is being threatened at the point of a knife. Now, let's not get too hasty. I'm sure we can resolve this matter peacefully. Agreed, so long as you don't try something stupid and give me cause to cut his throat. Did I not tell you I was preoccupied? You there, take Freckles and get out of here! Release him at once, I will summon the watch. Don't you dare! The affairs of House Mantinier are none of your concern. She demands recompense, and rightly so. If I must pay with my life, then so be it. Willingly? I will not allow it! Oh, do not look so glum. If I must look upon your freckled face before I ascend to Alone's halls, I would rather you favored me with a smile or some such. Father's sins are mine alone to bear now, mine alone to answer for. Mayhap and death shall our house but last be redeemed. You think it's that simple? I don't think it is. If it is recompense you desire, then you shall have it, but not with his life. So what will we do? The Fury forgives not those who kill their fellow man for wanton purpose. Permit him to address your grievances with coin, and you may have your justice without sin. Furthermore, I offer myself to you as a hostage in his place, that he might be free to secure sufficient ransom. Do we really have to go that far? Have you gone mad? I told you this is none of your... I will not abandon such a pious soul, one who shares my desire to make the world a better place. We are not so different, Cromavois. We have the chance to make amends for the sins of our fathers, to make Ishgard whole again. I cannot do it without you. Don't make me cry. You really are something else, making a bloody speech about changing the world at a time like this. I offer the wealth of House Mangtigny as ransom. If the lady agrees to these terms, then I will go and retrieve it at once. I'll take her silence as a yes. Now then, come. I've always wanted to tie someone up. Like, I don't like the way your eyes were shifting like that. Alright, Cromavois. Now what? We will have to travel to my family's old estates in the Western Highlands to retrieve your ransom. I presume you will wait here until I return? For now, but if you do not come back quickly, and with a great deal of money besides, this one's life is forfeit. Is that clear? Quite. As for you, Freckles, do not do anything else reckless. Master Griffin, I must ask that you come with me. It would not do to go to all this trouble, only to be waylaid by bandits on my way back. Let us make haste. Right, Western Highlands it is. That means we go to Falcon's Nest for the first time in a long time. I think the last time we were there was probably like episode 11 or 12. Because it has been quite a while. But let's hope we can be able to bring this to a peaceful resolve. Let's take flight. Into a blinding blizzard, as of course is common around these parts. So how far do we have to travel? Going to the 9th Fair, huh? Well, Cromavois, I certainly give you a lot of props for wandering out all the way out here. And get high enough. There we go. Alright, it's Cromavois. Nice to meet you out here. Actually, hold on. Just so that we're not interrupted by this silver wolf, I'll get rid of it for you, and then we will get down to business. Alright, that takes care of him. Can't... Alright, let's continue. Forgive me, my family's fortune is not buried far from here, but I would rather retrieve it alone. Pray remain a moment and keep watch for bandits and wild beasts. Okay, it says wait for Cromavois to return. How nasty is it gonna get? How about this trio right here? Whoa! Hey, I stopped one. Alright. Awesome. Number 2, your turn. Whoa, look out! Let's bang and claw on you. Look out! Now it's your turn. Let's put some status afflictions on you and make you really suffer. Oh, more. Okay, yeah, this is an test of endurance. Oh, and looks like the other two have gone to pay attention to this guy, Regulus Kiefer. But yeah, the targets are supposed to be mine there, buddy. They're supposed to be mine, my little friend. Oh, he's a monk. Alright, that's it for them. Sustain watch again. And watch Regulus charge it up. And then we go to cutscene. Very rarely do we see the Warrior of Light with hands on hips. Cromvois, I have what we came for. Now then, let us pray that Freckles is still alive and well. Alright. So, now that we made this splash and dash, as it were, back over to Foundation. And we'll then go ahead and see what else we need to do in order to bring this to a close. Because I imagine it's not going to end just with monetary compensation here. Alright, so let's be on our way to the north. And we're going to need to make a mad dash in order to get this money into the right hands, as it were. So make our way around and speak with the last again. Alright, I'm back. And I got your stinking money. It's about time. I'm freezing and I had half of my skin this one to keep warm. Now then, hand it over. Well, it doesn't help if you're only wearing a dress. Here, take this. Satisfied? Here you are, the entire fortune that was bequeathed onto me. Share it with your people as recompense, starting with the families of the bereaved. On behalf of House Mantigny, I am truly sorry. Well, she got what she wanted. And I guess in a way we got what we wanted. And so now... Theo, Fury Forfin, what have you gotten yourself into this time? I swear I leave you alone before a moment. I was never in any danger, Lee. I prayed to the Fury, and by her hand was Cromvois returned to me. I am terribly sorry to have involved you in my personal affairs. I should have known that the lives of my family would not be enough to sate the small folk's thirst for vengeance. Think nothing of it. I too lost my father, so if you ever had need to speak about it, you can confide in me as a friend. But will that necessarily be enough? My father sought to curry favor with the Holy See, and so he raised great levies to send to the front lines. Honor was his prize, but it was bought with the blood of his subjects, and eventually his own. The small folk had come to resent his demands of service, and when the truth of the war was revealed, they revolted. The mob overran the manor guard, and my father and 5 brothers perished at their hands. Had I not been sent away, I would have surely died with them. Our fortunes had grown poor following the calamity, you see, and since I was the youngest, father bid me leave to make my own way, so I rolled into the Scholasticate with the hopes of becoming a bishop, to bring honor to myself and my house. But now, you're the last man standing. No, there's no use dwelling on what could have been. We must look to the future and do what we can to make Ishgard whole again. Every moment is sacred, and you help me see to that. Theo, consider me your friend and ally. And that would definitely put a smile on her face. Well said, Cromvois, well said. Together you may yet bring about lasting change. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Without the endorsement of the Scholasticate and the support of our peers, no one will listen to us. What's more, I still haven't heard anyone explain how we're supposed to get seats on the Trinity. Ishgard wasn't built in a day, Lee. Besides, we still have plenty of time to work something out. See, I knew he wouldn't take this seriously. Calm yourself, Lee, and keep an open mind. Now let us return and discuss our next course of action. I think that's a good idea. Father? Oh, I nearly forgot. Inspector Bryden was looking for you at the cathedral. He wished to speak with you regarding his investigation, I believe. I think I will do just that. So this ends back at the cathedral, as it should. Let's make a quick run over to the Ethernet shard and make our way over to the cathedral once again for the last time in this particular episode, as we prepare to conclude this first part of the Saint Endalim's Scholasticate storyline. So let's make our way... Okay, so the inspector's over here. I was expecting him to be in the Scholasticate itself, but he's settled over here. Well then, my associates, have you anything to report? Well, we're gonna go ahead and complete the quest, but we're obviously gonna go to the storyline to end this. So after explaining in detail everything that occurred, a former subject of House Mantigny demanded recompense for the misdeeds of Carnival's father. Unfortunate that the situation was resolved peacefully. But my investigation has been less productive, unfortunately. I thought to speak with Ula, the student who withdrew from the Scholasticate, but I cannot find her anywhere. The same must be said of the infamous volume 11, which contains passages extolling the virtues of equality. Like the girl, it is vanished without a trace. The circumstances surrounding these incidents suggest deliberate intent. Someone may be attempting to turn this tenuous state of affairs to their advantage, but if so, then to what end? Ponder upon the stained glass. For 1,000 years, a sickness has ravaged our city. It is festered within the hearts and minds of our citizens and our clergy especially. Treating it will be a long and arduous process, but an altogether necessary one. Our role in the process is clear: to diagnose the root of the Scholasticate's ailments. If there are malicious forces at work, then it is our duty to see justice done. I'll be there every step of the way there, Inspector. In a time of unrest, when the light of truth was lost to the righteous, the children look to one another for guidance, that they may walk in her grace. And with that, we complete the storyline for St. Endalim's Scholasticate. And so, that will bring to an end the new content that I wanted to show in patch 3.15. As I mentioned before, there's no new main storyline, but having the opportunity to see this because this was something I was really genuinely curious about, seeing how is the way that religious teaching in Ishgard going to change and evolve with the disillusion of the Archbishop having been defeated along with his Heavensward's knights. Seeing that this is something that we're going to see in the storyline of Heavensward in future patches is of great curiosity to me, and it'll be interesting to see just how it comes along and evolves. So, we've completed this storyline, but tomorrow we get to focus on something else entirely. Something a little more lighthearted, if you will, because with Christmas only 2 weeks away, we're gonna get to see a brand new storyline centered around an event that I wanted to show last year, but unfortunately was not able to do so. But we'll correct that problem tomorrow. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the continuation of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. And when I join you again, we will be able to go to Limsalominsa to start enjoying the Starlight Celebration. And we'll be bringing back an old friend who's going to have the opportunity to do the challenge
that he wasn't able to do before last year. So until next time everyone, this is Matthew and Aurora Autism, saying take care, and I'll see you soon.